Welcome to the Mindset Vault. You've been living on autopilot. It's time to take back the controls.
We're giving you the map, but you have to walk the path. Just looking at it isn't going to get you to the destination. Only action will.
All right, here's our blueprint for this analysis. First, we're going to shatter the illusion of brute force. Then we'll decode the Keystone mechanism. From there, we'll find the one domino, lay out the architect's protocol for you, and finish up with the final verdict.
Okay, let's dive right into part 1, the illusion of brute force. This is where we break down why your willpower, well, it's just not enough. So, let's start with a foundational question, one that I know we have all wrestled with. Why do most of our attempts at making huge changes in our lives just fail? Why do New Year's resolutions die out by February? Why do these massive corporate shakeups just crumble? It's because we've been trained to fight the wrong war, using the wrong weapons entirely. We all feel the weight of these failures, and they pile up, one after another, until we start to believe that real change is impossible. But it's not. We've just been using a flawed strategy.
We are fed a fundamental lie pretty much from day one, that if you want to change everything, you've got to do everything all at once. Society loves this idea, right? The grand, sweeping gesture, the overnight success story. It's a great narrative, but it's completely false. It tells us we have to become a warrior, fighting on a dozen fronts at the same time. You're going to fix your diet, start a business, master a new skill, wake up at 4 a.m., and meditate for an hour, and it all has to start tomorrow. That's the path of brute force. It's a war of attrition you're waging against yourself. And this is the real cost of that lie. When you attack on every single front, you splinter your energy. Your focus is scattered, your willpower gets stretched thinner and thinner until it just snaps. None of those new changes get enough fuel to actually become a real habit. The whole structure you're trying to build is fragile. It's built on an unsustainable amount of effort, and it's absolutely destined to collapse. That collapse is what we call burnout, and that's the cycle that keeps so many of us trapped. So I'm going to pause here. If you are serious about fixing this, about breaking that cycle, hit the like button right now. Make a physical action. Show your own subconscious that you are ready to change. Okay, part 2, the Keystone mechanism. Now that we've identified the trap, let's pivot to the engine of the solution. And we're going to do that by decoding one of the most incredible corporate turnarounds in modern history.
Now, to really get the mechanism, you first have to understand the battlefield. Back in the 1980s, Alcoa wasn't just a company, it was a dying empire. This 100-year-old aluminum giant was bleeding money. Its market share was getting eaten alive, and internally, it was completely toxic. It got so bad that employees were in open revolt, literally burning effigies of their managers in the company parking lots. It was an absolute war zone. So when the board brings in this new CEO, Paul O'Neill, Wall Street is basically just holding its breath, hoping for a miracle.
So picture this. O'Neill walks onto the stage for his very first speech to his investors, some of the most powerful people on Wall Street. They're all expecting to hear the usual corporate jargon, synergy, proactivity, shareholder value. Instead, he gets up there and says, "I want to talk to you about worker safety." The room just goes dead silent. He tells them his #1 goal isn't profit, it's a 0 accident rate. Investors literally ran out of the room to call their clients. One of them famously said, "The board put a crazy hippie in charge and he's gonna kill the company." They thought he was nuts. Turns out they were very, very wrong. You see, O'Neill wasn't actually focused on safety as the end goal. He was being an architect. He knew that to fix a truly broken system, you don't attack it everywhere. You find the single point of maximum leverage. And he engineered this brilliant little habit loop. The cue, an employee gets hurt. The routine, the president of that unit had to report directly to O'Neill within 24 hours and have a plan to prevent it from ever happening again. The reward, you got promoted if you embrace this new system. But here's the genius part, the ripple effect. For president to report in 24 hours, he needed to hear from his VPs instantly, who needed to hear from their floor managers, who needed workers to feel safe reporting problems right away. This one habit forced the entire broken, toxic hierarchy to rebuild itself around communication, excellence, and total accountability.
And here's the final verdict. That crazy hippie didn't just make Alcoa the safest company in the world, dropping injury rates to a 20th of the US average. He made it one of the most profitable. During his time there, Alcoa's stock price shot up by over 200%. He proved it. You don't fix a broken system by fighting a war on a dozen fronts. You find the one critical piece and you turn it.
Okay, part 3, the one domino. We've seen the engine in action. Now we have to isolate the principle. We need to identify that master key that O'Neill used to unlock all of that change.
And that master key is something called a keystone habit.
Now listen, this is not just some nice self-help tip. This is like a law of organizational physics. It's that one single habit that you prioritize above all others that acts like the first domino in a long line. Once it falls, it starts a chain reaction that knocks over and reshapes everything else around it. Think of it like the keystone in an arch. It's the single stone that holds the entire structure in place.
And this right here is the critical strategic difference. The brute force method is chaos. It's undisciplined. It's a shotgun blast aimed at a bunch of different symptoms, and it guarantees you'll run out of energy. But the Keystone method, that's a sniper rifle. It's a single, surgical, intelligent strike on one root cause. It concentrates all your energy. It builds momentum with small, easy wins, and it builds a strong, resilient new structure from the inside out. One is a recipe for failure. The other is the blueprint for mastery.
And look, this doesn't just apply to giant corporations. This applies directly to our own lives. Take weight loss, for example. A study found that people who adopted the simple keystone habit of writing down what they ate every day, they lost twice as much weight as people who didn't. Now, why is that? Because that one small habit forced a new kind of awareness. It created a daily structure for discipline that just naturally cascaded into making better food choices, controlling portions, and even finding the motivation to exercise. It didn't treat the symptoms, it fixed the root cause, a simple lack of awareness.
All right, part 4, the Architect's Protocol. We're moving from theory to execution. This is your operational blueprint. This is what you actually do.
Here is your 3-step protocol. Step 1. Identify the battlefield. You've got to find that one single area in your life that creates the most friction, the most consistent pain. For Alcoa, it was the broken communication between managers and workers. Step 2. Secure the small win. Don't try to fix the whole giant problem at once. Just choose one simple daily habit that attacks that friction point and gives you a clear feeling of victory. For O'Neill, it was that 24-hour injury report. And finally, step 3. Build the structure. Engineer that one habit so it has to create ripple effects. Ask yourself, how can this one small action force other, better routines to pop up around it?
And this protocol, it's not an abstract idea. It's not for next week or someday. Your mission starts tomorrow morning with one single, deliberate act. You are going to make your bed.
And don't you dare underestimate the power of this. Making your bed is a perfect keystone habit. Why? Because it's your first small win of the day. It sends a signal to your brain that you are in control. It's a simple act of imposing order on chaos, of taking entropy and turning it into intention. It is physical proof to yourself that you can follow through on a task from start to finish. And that first small victory, it creates momentum that carries you into the next task and the one after that. It is the first domino.
We're building more than just an archive here. We're building a mastermind. If you want to grow with us and exchange high-level ideas, check the WhatsApp link in the description. Subscribe to the Vault and join the journey with us.
And that brings us to the end, the final verdict. The analysis is done, the map is in front of you, and now the choice is yours.
So here's the question for you today. Will you continue to scatter your bricks, fighting a chaotic war on all fronts, trying to build everything at once only to achieve nothing? Or will you act like an architect and carefully lay the first perfect stone of your arch, your one keystone habit, to build something that will actually last? Be honest with yourself. Leave your answer in the comments below. We will be watching.